YTPC. Curmudgeon Piper. Hope everyone has had a joyful day. Smoking that beautiful long champ. Smokes like a dream. Broke open this tin for the first time today. 1855. Fourth generation Stokely. Enjoying Sinatra Select. My Sinatra 100th birthday celebration Zippo. A little Sinatra playing in the background. So we'll see if the YTPC, not the YTPC, the YouTube police come along and flag it. So as you may be able to tell, I'm a fairly hardcore Sinatra fan. Have been for many years. And as today would have been his 103rd birthday, I thought I'd tell my Sinatra story. I'd always been a fan. Well, I had been a fan when I was a teenager. I had a couple of songs on 45s. For you younger guys, 45s are little bitty albums. They're about this big and have a hole in them. They just have one song on each side. Just for your reference. So anyhow, I'd always enjoyed the classiness of his music. Still do, quite a bit actually. Kind of a Sinatra connoisseur of sorts. Now, I'm not a connoisseur to the point where I can tell you who played second trumpet on Strangers in the Night. I'm not that kind of connoisseur. But I know some things. So anyway, I went to college at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. The University of the Beach. And Wilmington is known for the college. It's known, of course, as being a very prominent shipping port. Mostly in the late 80s and 90s, it was pretty well known for its movie and TV locations. They filmed the TV show Matlock. A couple other things, some movies there very prominent movies there. They're also known for their annual Azalea Festival. So they, for about a week every year in the month of April, they have this huge festival. And, there's parades and personalities and what have you, that kind of thing, that come to town, and it's a big deal. So my first 2 or 3 years at UNCW during the Azalea Festival, they also do concerts. And they have pretty, back then, I don't know about now, but back then, they had mainly country music artists that would come in. And I saw Alan Jackson, if any of you know anything about 90s country. I saw Alan Jackson on my 21st birthday at the Coliseum there at UNCW. I saw the Judds. They did their farewell, one of their farewell tour stops was there. Well, my senior year, back around Thanksgiving of 1993, they came out with the lineup for the upcoming Azalea Festival. And they snagged Sinatra. They booked Sinatra to play on campus at UNCW. Now, my dad's always been a really big Sinatra fan. I don't need this, of course. I was a casual fan. He was a big fan. He still is. And so anyway, at that time, my dad was living in the South Pacific on a little island called Kwajalein, which is about 4,000 miles south of Honolulu, Hawaii, in the middle of the Pacific. It's a pretty big, pretty important little island during World War II. I won't go into details on that right now, but that's where he was living. He was in law enforcement. And so that's about, that's a long ways away, 10,000 miles away from here. So I found out Sinatra was coming. And so over Thanksgiving break, when he and I were talking on the phone, I just happened to mention, hey, guess who's performing at the Azalea Festival on campus at UNCW in April? And I told him. And you would have thought that you would have thought he was going to come through the phone and get me. Snag me by the nape of the neck because I hadn't gone and already bought tickets. Well, the tickets were $40, and back then, especially for a college student, $40 was a lot of money. So I hadn't bought tickets. Well, he immediately decided to schedule his vacation time around the date of the concert, which was April of '94. Wired me the money, so as soon as I got back to Wilmington, I went in and went down to the ticket office and bought the tickets. Now, my buddy that I was living with at the time, my roommate, was not a Sinatra fan. He had been raised with the rumors and innuendo of Sinatra being part of the mob and all of that. So he had no use for Sinatra. But my dad offered to pay him to drive us and to take him with us out to dinner at a nice place down at Riceville Beach. So he accepted that invitation and decided to be our designated driver. So, of course, Sinatra was a big fan of Jack Daniels. Matter of fact, one of his quotes, one of his famous quotes was, I'm for anything that gets you through the night, be it pills, prayer, or a bottle of Jack Daniels. Along with, you gotta love living, baby, because dying's a pain in the ass. Anyway, so we went out and had several drinks. And I will tell you, went to the concert. Sinatra was 78 years old. He walked out on that stage, and it's the most phenomenal show I've ever seen since. And I've been to a lot of concerts. Been nothing to compare to it. Nothing. He dropped "I've Got You" under my skin, and man, the place went wild. There was, of course, there was an older generation of folks there taking bouquets of roses down to the stage. That show was just phenomenal, and I was hooked. That was it. I was hooked. Started buying CDs, books, movies. And that's why we have the Sinatra soiree every year, the weekend before his birthday. So Shaky and I sit around, and y'all saw what we did. That's what we do every year. What struck me, though, during that show, 2 weeks before that show, someone who was considered to be one of the greatest rock musicians at that time, Kurt Cobain, had committed suicide. It was amazing as I thought about it. Here's this guy, Cobain, who had everything and couldn't hack it. And here's Sinatra, the 78-year-old, been singing for 50 years, still kicking ass on that stage. And Sinatra tried to commit suicide one time back in the 50s during a breakup with he and Ava Gardner. But that's still my number one concert of all time. Hands down. Couldn't beat it. Quite honestly, there's not many out there today that I would pay money to see. There's a few, but not many. But man, getting to see Sinatra one time, live, and at the end of the show, he looked out at us and he said, with his glass of Jack Daniels, to toast us, "May you all live to be 100, and may the last voice you hear be mine." Class, folks. They don't make them like that anymore. Well, it's my Sinatra story. Gotta love living, baby. Dying's a pain in the ass. You folks be well. Be humble. Be grateful for all that you have. I'll see you again soon.